Night had fallen. Sarah was alone. Her car had died on the lonely road leading to her grandmother's house. The old house loomed in the distance, more menacing than welcoming. It had been empty since her grandmother's passing 5 years ago. Sarah shivered. She had no choice but to seek shelter within. The air grew colder as she approached. The house stood as a testament to decay. The porch creaked ominously under her weight. The door, unlocked, groaned open as if issuing a warning. The musty smell of time and neglect filled her nostrils. It was the scent of forgotten memories and unspoken secrets. Sarah cautiously stepped inside. The darkness felt heavy, almost suffocating. She fumbled for a light switch. A lone, bare bulb flickered to life, casting long, dancing shadows on the dusty furniture. The silence was deafening, broken only by the sound of her own breathing and the pounding of her heart. She explored the house, each room a mirror reflecting a bygone era. The musty scent of decay permeated the air, clinging to her clothes like ghostly fingers. A sudden sound like whispers sent chills down her spine. She stopped, listening intently. The whispers came again, faint but undeniable. They seemed to be calling her name. Sarah moved towards the sound, her heart pounding in her chest. The whispers grew louder, echoing around her, but she couldn't decipher the words. They were like the rustling of old papers or the wind sighing through the trees. But there was no wind inside the house. The shadows in the room seemed to twist and writhe, as if they were alive. They danced on the walls, their forms shifting and changing like phantoms. Fear coiled in the pit of her stomach. She felt a presence in the house, something unseen watching her. She found herself drawn to a room at the end of the hallway. The door creaked open, revealing a dusty old nursery. A rocking chair moved back and forth as if pushed by an invisible hand. On the far wall hung a faded family portrait. Sarah's breath caught in her throat. It was her family, but from a time long before she was born. Her grandparents stood proudly, their faces blurred by time. And in the centre, a young girl with piercing blue eyes stared back at her. The girl was the image of Sarah, her doppelganger from another time. A cold hand seemed to grip her heart as she looked at the portrait. The whispers intensified, swirling around her like a vortex of fear. The shadows on the wall danced more violently, their forms becoming more distinct. She could almost make out the shape of a figure standing behind her, its eyes fixed on her with malevolent intent. Sarah tried to scream, but no sound escaped her lips. She was frozen in place, paralyzed by fear. The figure behind her moved closer, its cold breath sending shivers down her spine. She felt a hand, icy cold and insubstantial, close around her wrist. The darkness seemed to reach out from the corner, tendrils of shadow wrapping around her like grasping claws. She pulled back, but the grip tightened. A whisper, sharp and cold, cut through her terror. "Come with me," it hissed, the voice chillingly familiar. Then everything went black. The house stood silent, the portrait gazing out over the empty room. The only sound was the creaking of the rocking chair as it slowly came to a stop. The shadows retreated, and the whispers faded into the silence. Sarah was gone, swallowed by the darkness that had haunted the house